It is the year 2007. LeBron James, as a 22-year-old, led his Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. But how impressive was it really? What was the competition like? In this video, we're going to get into that. What's going on? This is your boy, NBA One Hoops. Back at it with another video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like for more content. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Now, LeBron James, as a 22-year-old, as I mentioned earlier, dragged his Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. Now, before we start getting into everything, I just want to make a quick disclaimer. This is no way, shape, or form any type of hate or, any slight towards LeBron James. It was an impressive feat, and especially as a 22-year-old. So I just wanted to get that out the way. This is in no way, shape, or form some type of hate directed toward LeBron. I am not a LeBron hater. However, I am objective. So I wanted to throw that out there because I can already hear the comments and people on Twitter saying, oh, you're just a LeBron hater. Well, that's not true. So the first thing I want to discuss with you guys is the competition that LeBron faced. In other words, the road he faced to get to the finals in the first place. So as you can see on your screen, we have each round and the opposing team's record. So the corresponding opponent's record within that round. So in round one, the Cleveland Cavaliers went up against the 41-41 Washington Wizards and swept them. In the second round, he faced the New Jersey Nets, who were a 41-41 team. So both of these first two teams that LeBron faced in the NBA playoffs back in 2007 weren't even above 500. Now, the next team he faced in the Eastern Conference Finals was the 53-29 Detroit Pistons. So that right there is a solid team. And then, of course, in the NBA Finals, as we all know, he faced the San Antonio Spurs and lost in 4 games. He was swept. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each round, and we're going to look at the competition that LeBron actually faced. In other words, the opposing team's players, and we're also going to compare that to the amount of help that LeBron had within that series. So like I said before, the first round was the Washington Wizards. The two best players on the Washington Wizards, who were a 41-41 team, so they weren't above 500, were Antoine Jamison at 32 points per game and 9 rebounds during that series, and Antonio Daniels at 13.3 points per game and 11.8 assists. So that's very solid. Those are the two best players and two leading scorers on the Wizards. Now let's compare that to what LeBron had and the help he had in the contributions that he had from his teammates. So it was a very solid series for LeBron. He averaged 27.8 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 7.5 assists per game. Now let's look at some of his teammates, because the false narrative that goes on in the media is that, hey, LeBron dragged his teams to the 07 Finals with no help, but that's actually not true. Take a look at the screen here if you weren't already. Larry Hughes, 19 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game. Ilgauskas had 19 points per game, 11 rebounds per game. And then we have finally Drew Gooden at 14.5 points per game and 10 rebounds per game. So the thing is, LeBron played well. He was the best player, obviously, on his team, but he had 3 other teammates average at least 13 points per game, and 2 of them averaged 19. So the narrative that LeBron had no help needs to stop. Not to mention the fact that these games are close. Yes, I understand it was a sweep, but the margin of victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers was only 8.7. So the narrative that, oh, LeBron destroyed all these little teams and stuff like that on the way to the NBA Finals is not true. Yes, it was a sweep, but most of these games are close. They were decided by less than 10 points. So what's my main point? My main point is the fact that LeBron struggled. He struggled against his team despite having more players average double-digit points. That's the moral of the story here, pretty much. You're facing a 41-41 team. You have 4 players average double-digit points, and the margin of victory was only 8 points per game. Are you serious? Let's move on to round 2. So in round 2, LeBron and company faced off against the New Jersey Nets, who were 41-41. So yet again, another team that didn't even win above 500. And they were led by a 30-year-old Vince Carter, a 33-year-old Jason Kidd, and a 27-year-old Richard Jefferson. So now let's get into how they performed during that series. We have Vince Carter at 19.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and 6.7 assists per game. As you can see on the screen, I have it right there for you. Jason Kidd, 15.2 points per game, 11.8 assists per game. Pretty solid, but again, 33 years old. Richard Jefferson, who was, pretty much in the heart of his prime, 17.8 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game. So at face value, this seems pretty good, and you can start to see, okay, they turned it up in the playoffs. Okay, that's pretty much the impression that you're getting. But let's compare that to what LeBron had in his supporting cast during that series. So if you could take a look at the screen, guys, I have it right here for you. I mean, numbers don't lie. That is the old age saying. LeBron James had 5 teammates, well, technically 4, including himself. So 5 people on his team averaged at least double-digit scoring. And one thing that people don't know is, like I said before, this was a 6-game series. LeBron had a 6-game series, meaning he lost 2 games against a team that didn't even go above 500. That's embarrassing. Now, like I said, this is not hate towards LeBron. He's 22 years old. He brought his team to the finals, and he did win the series. But the fact that he struggled against a 41-41 team really makes you wonder what the hype was about. Why is it that he went 6 games? As you look, like, the numbers don't lie. I have everything right here. Now, you would think against a 41-41 Nets team that LeBron would have blown out the games in which he won against his team, but in fact, that isn't the case. The average margin of victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers against these Nets was only 8 points per game, which is actually closer than the previous series at 8.7. So what is the main point of saying all this? The narrative that LeBron didn't have any help and that he dragged a terrible Cavs team to the finals is just simply incorrect. He had 5 teammates average double-digit points. So let's go ahead and move on to round 3, which is actually a more impressive round for him. Now, the common thing before we get into, go any further, people say LeBron beat the Detroit Pistons, who just 2 or 3 years prior destroyed the Kobe Shaq Lakers. But the problem with that is it's missing a lot of context. And the context that they're missing is the fact that Ben Wallace didn't play in the series that LeBron faced the Pistons in. And he was a key defensive anchor and a key rim protector. Now this Pistons team that we're speaking of, did win 53 games and only lost 29 games throughout that season. Now, as far as this series is concerned, there's not really much you can take away from it other than the fact that they didn't have Ben Wallace, who was a key defensive player for that team. LeBron, the Cavs did go down 0-2 to this team, and LeBron did play well, and he only had 2 other players average double digits, which is actually a disadvantage for him considering the fact that the Detroit Pistons had 4 players average double digit in points. So LeBron was a man in the series. Obviously, his efficiency numbers did drop. He only shot 44% from the field during the series, but they were down 0-2 and came back to win the series. And you know what? I will take off my hat to LeBron for that, for objectivity's sake. Now, in the next series, and obviously this is the NBA Finals, 4th round finals, LeBron and company face off against the San Antonio Spurs, who obviously went on to win the championship, and they swept LeBron. And the narrative about this series is LeBron had absolutely no help, 0 help at all. His teammates averaged 0 points per game, and LeBron was killed and blown out of every game. That is the common narrative about that series. Well, the good thing for you guys, I'm all about the truth, and the truth is that's not at all. Like, not even a little bit. Not at all what happened in that series. And I'm going to be here to paint the picture for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. The fact of the matter is, all 4 of these games that LeBron lost were close. Look right here on the screen. Game 1, the Cavaliers lose by 9 points. That's a winnable game, not a blowout. Game 2, Cavs lose by 11 points. Not really a blowout, but I'll let that one slide. Game 3, Cavs lose by 3 points. Did you guess I wouldn't let that slide? No, I wouldn't. Game 4, you lose by 1? Yeah, I'm not going to let that slide. There was no excuse for LeBron to get swept. You were in 3 winnable and very close games that went down to the wire, and you lost. Look, I understand he was 22 years old. I'm not trying to send any hate his way. But what all-time great, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Hakeem, Magic, Bird, what all-time great wouldn't be able to close 3 games? Like, not even one of them. You couldn't win one of those games. Anybody could have. And matter of fact, I'm going to prove it to you. First of all, the narrative is, hey, LeBron had 0 help in that series. That's actually not true. Take a look at the screen. Look, before I even get into this, obviously, I'm very well aware that Drew Gooden and Daniel Gibson do not compare to the Big 3 San Antonio Spurs. What I will not do, though, is act like LeBron didn't have 2 teammates average double-digit points, just like the Spurs had. So, both teams had 3 players average double-digit points. Now, what does this mean? Take a look at the screen, guys. I know what you're thinking. Why are you showing us Los Angeles Lakers stats, and what series is this even from? Well, this is actually from the very next year. And notice how his 2 teammates averaged about the same as LeBron's 2 teammates. The one key difference. Both of these teams played the exact same team. So the Lakers went up against the Spurs and the Cleveland Cavaliers went up against the Spurs. Only difference is Kobe blew the doors off the San Antonio Spurs with 2 teammates averaging about the same as LeBron's 2 teammates. But what is my point? LeBron getting about the same production as Kobe got swept and couldn't close 3 of those games. But Kobe was able to beat the Spurs, a more experienced Spurs by obviously it was the very next year, so not too much more experience, but a more cohesive unit nonetheless. Are you kidding me right now? So, what am I getting at? What is the whole main conclusion of this video? The point is, LeBron as a 22-year-old did drag his team to the finals, and it was impressive, but it is very overrated, and the notion that he didn't have any help is a straight up lie, as I proved to you. Larry Bird could have taken that team and made it to the finals. Kobe Bean Bryant definitely could have done it. He beat the Spurs with about the same amount of production as LeBron had from his teammates. Magic Johnson, one of the greatest leaders in NBA history, definitely could have done it, and I don't even need to mention this guy. Black Jesus, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, definitely could have done it. And that's pretty much all I wanted to get into with you guys today. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video. I am no longer NBA Talk. I am NBA One Hoops. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.